up because I just feel off. But
Feel better.
thanks.
All right. Let me record and we will count us down. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody. Today is Monday, August 9th, and welcome to another brand new exciting episode of our Little Yankees podcast. As always, I'm Julian Coltree, joined alongside the one, the only Josh Levin.
What up? What up?
And Eric Ray Sepulveda. E-Ray.
What's up, guys? I'm here 2 weeks in a row. Watch out.
Two weeks in a row. Absolutely. And look, there's a lot to discuss today. We have a lot to talk about. But for really maybe the first time in the history of our Little Yankees podcast, I want to give us an opportunity to talk about the New York Yankees having played well.
Yeah.
They've stacked some series. They've won some games. They had some big comebacks. And we'll get into all the other interesting stuff that happened this weekend, all the injuries and all that stuff. But Josh, E-Ray, look, the fact of the matter is the Yankees, since the trade deadline and since last week when we got on them for not beating Baltimore in that first game, they showed up and they took care of business this week.
Yeah, they really did. You know what? You know, like, especially with the way that pitching was lined up for this weekend series against Seattle, you have to be very happy with taking 3 out of 4 from them. And obviously, you know, the Baltimore series, the offense kind of woke up a little bit those last 2 games. And if you really look at the standings from where they were around the All-Star break and to where the Yankees are now, you know, with some help from, you know, some Red Sox losses, the Yankees have climbed themselves right back into the thick of the race. So, you know, there's plenty of time left in the season still. So yeah, I mean, they're sitting in a good place right now.
Now, I don't want to say that the Red Sox collapsing right now is because of me, but since I was at that game on Monday night a couple weeks ago where they came back in the 8th inning with a Verdugo home run, they've lost I don't know exactly, maybe 7 of the last 8 games, 8 of the last 9, something like that. But
they're 2-10 and they're 2-8 in their last 10.
I don't want to give credit to myself, but maybe that little hex I did in the bathroom stall at Fenway, maybe it's working right now. So
absolutely. Did you bury an A-Rod jersey in the stands or something, like how the Red Sox fans
maybe
bury the big Poppy jersey at Yankees?
Oh, I remember that. Yeah. I
remember
that.
Maybe you said you were doing a jinx out there, so I figured maybe that was it. The fact is, boys, at least for the series against Seattle, and it goes against Baltimore too, they did things in a way that kind of was unlike what we've seen at all this year. Not only did they win games, but specifically in the series against Seattle, they came from behind to do it. There were games that it looked like they might have been out of it. Look at the game where Andrew Heaney started on Saturday. They came back. They had some miraculous wins. They had big hits when it mattered. Started with Joey Gallo getting that porch job in the game on Thursday for them to come back and win it. And then they have a big extra innings victory in which they go down and Stanton is able to get a big hit. Judge gets a big hit. And then Brett Gardner, who we've all trashed all year, he gets the game-winning hit. And then they're able to overcome some adversity on Saturday to be able to win that game. So really not only was them winning games, which we've seen them do this year. They swept the White Sox after all. They were able to beat Oakland, but they did it in a way that I guess we could really say we probably have not gotten used to them doing at all this year, which is when they were given adversity, they did not crumble. They rose to the occasion.
Yeah, you know, it seems like these couple of games here against Seattle, probably really all 3 of the wins were them stealing wins, you know, finding ways to win. Whereas a month ago even, they found ways to lose winnable games. And now it feels like it's the complete opposite. And it's done a little bit of a 180. You know, you see them get down in a game and you feel like they have a chance to win. Whereas, you know, we came on here for months and said the game is over before it starts because they go out there looking like they expected to lose, or, they get down 1-0, 2-0 early in the game and they seemed like, they didn't think they had a chance. And it's not a coincidence that this has all started with, the additions of Anthony Rizzo and Joey Gallo to the team. Like, it's not a coincidence that this has all started since the deadline, since the Miami series. It just goes to show you what, actual lineup depth can do, what, differentiating skill sets can do for you, some balance, all that. How about those stolen bases? I mean,
Yep.
They're putting the pedal to the metal and they're actually like proactively going out and trying to do whatever it takes to win a game. Even some bullpen stuff that we see with, guys getting loose quickly to come into games when they, maybe hanging in the balance. Those aren't things we're used to seeing the Yankees do really at any point in a season, especially the last couple years. So it's just good to see them like really put their best foot forward and go out there and, like making sure that they do whatever they can to win the game, because they know that these games are really important.
Yeah, I'll give Aaron Boone some credit too, because especially in that game on Friday, 9 pitchers, it was essentially a bullpen game because they've gotten screwed because of all the injuries, which we will talk about, but they pushed all the right buttons. All 9 of the pitchers that he used pitched really well, and he was able to not only help them out in that Friday game, but then Heaney was able to rebound in a way that he didn't in that game against Baltimore, to give them 109 pitches to be able to allow their bullpen to keep them in it later on in the game.
No, and what you guys are both saying, like, seriously, these moves have rejuvenated this club, and it's a different energy now. And even when it's like, I was thinking every game of the Seattle series, it was like, wow, I'm excited to watch the Yankees tonight. Like, I can't wait till the game because this last week was really fun, and they're doing exactly what they needed to do. And that's take 2 out of 3 from Seattle. I'm sorry, 2 out of 3 from Baltimore and 3 out of 4 from Seattle. And that's exactly what we told them to do. And Josh, even to piggyback off you with the stolen bases and everything, even the base running, look at DJ's smart move a couple games ago.
Mm-hmm. Won him the game.
Yeah, it won them the game. So they're doing the little things right. And, we'll probably talk about it as the podcast continues. And every day it's a new story. But right now they did what they had to do last week. And it starts again this week with Kansas City. And we just got to, again, continue to win games, because I think they were 9.5, 10 games out 2 weeks ago. And now they're 6.5 from the division. And I think 2.5 from Oakland, the wild card. So, yeah, man, we just got to continue to win games. And there's a heartbeat again. There's a pulse on this team. And they're giving us a reason to watch and a reason to believe. And I think, Jules, you mentioned it in the chat. Well, Yankee Stadium was electric this past week.
It was.
The crowd is starting to – yeah, the crowd is back. The crowd was loud. They were chanting literally everything. I think they're doing a roll call now in the 9th inning, which is kind of cool. We want playoff baseball again, man. It's been 2 years since we didn't get it last year because of COVID and stuff. We'll see as it continues this year. But yeah, man, we're hungry, and hopefully the Yankees continue it.
And how many
when Joey Gallo hit that home run was gigantic just to play off of that. Continue.
No, what I was going to say is, how many times have we come on here and said, like, oh, they're punting, with the way that they're lining up their pitching staff or even making lineups for a certain game. And it's like Friday night had a classic, not punt vibe, but like, maybe we're not going to win this game because of the bullpen day. And then after they win that game, emptying out the entire bullpen on Saturday with Heaney pitching, that's another game where I remember saying to you guys, like, tomorrow's going to be a punt of epic proportions, because that's just kind of what we're used to seeing. And it's been the complete opposite. So like, even the things that, that they had become predictable with in terms of like giving guys rest and not necessarily using your best pitchers and all that, like, it's reversing. The trends are reversing, and it seems like it's all coming together at the right time. But of course, we have to deal with the injury gods and the COVID gods and all this nonsense that is trying to derail what has been a nice and fun 3 weeks or so.
Yeah,
it's a valid point, Josh, because the fact is, if they had actually lost that game Friday, which it looks like they were poised to kind of do before Stanton got the big hit in extra innings or Judge got the big hit to tie it up late in the game, then you would have been 1-1 with Andrew Heaney on the mound going into Saturday. And look, the fact is, he wound up giving him 109 pitches and rebounding really nicely, but he could have gone the complete opposite way. And then next thing you know, you're down 2-1 going into the rubber game on Sunday. But that all said, I am going to hold them accountable for Sunday. And I know you guys don't necessarily agree with me. Maybe you feel a different way with this based off of the fact that I sent probably about 36 straight messages yesterday and
You're
it
mad.
elicited absolutely zero response.
You were
from either
pissed.
you when I woke up. I was very, very angry. And I've had 24 hours to calm down. But the reason I was angry yesterday that they lost that game is because I felt as though it was the perfect game in which the Yankees have yet to win this year. You're going into that game yesterday. They have an opportunity to sweep. And to me, to see them go 0-11 with runners in scoring position, to have Luis Heel, who has been electric in his first two starts, go 5 scoreless innings again, and the bullpen help go scoreless until the top of the 8th inning. It was just so, I don't want to say typical 2021 Yankees, but it was so typical 2021 Yankees to lose that game, to have the opportunity to win it, to have Judge in the lineup, Gallo in the lineup, Voit in the lineup coming back to replace Anthony Rizzo, who goes down for the coded stuff. Stanton's still there. LeMahieu's still there. Glaber go 3 for 3 before he gets hurt, and to just score absolutely no runs in that game. It ticked me off. It ticked me off big time, and I was super pissed about it because they should have won that game. And it's August 9th at this point. To be able to leave these games on the table is unacceptable as you get closer, because the fact is the Yankees were fantastic this past week. But you know what? They went 8-2 in their last 10 games. Tampa Bay went 8-2 in their last 10 games. Oakland went 8-2 in their last 10 games. Toronto went 8-2 in their last 10 games. So they're right there with these guys. And those lack of ability to sweep these series in a game in which you are 0-0 going into the 8th inning at home and have left 11 guys on base, I mean, those are going to be the breaks. That might be what cost you an opportunity to go to the wild card game, or maybe even win the division, or heck, miss out in the playoffs. So, you know what? I don't know if that sweep was as horrendous or as crushing of a loss as losing the opportunity to split that game with Boston earlier on in the year, where Armand pitches the no-hitter and then they wind up blowing it, or the game against the Mets where Aroldis Chapman gives up the home run and they're not able to do that, or giving up the 7-run lead to the Angels. Those are the horrific losses we've seen this year. But to me, a winnable game that you lose for no other reason than you just kind of didn't show up when you needed to, those are the ones that I think ultimately are going to be the ones that you look back on at the end of the year and you say, damn, they kind of screwed the pooch on it. Because I think the record is like, what, 5-13 when they have a chance to sweep this year. And even if you're 500, at that point, or as close as 500 as you can get, those are the ones you want back. Those might be the difference between first place or not.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. Like yesterday, it was a frustrating game. Obviously, I mean, they didn't score. They had plenty of opportunities. I mean, Luke Voit left 5 guys on himself in his return from the IL. He continues to look rusty when he returns from his, rehab stints and IL stints. So it was really frustrating. And I get it. And I'm not going to sit here and say that I was okay with them losing that game. But in terms of 2021 Yankee losses, that's nowhere near the top as far as, annoying and painful ones. I mean, the one that they lost to Seattle during that day game where, they were completely shut down by a rookie pitcher was way more frustrating to me than this one. And that's because they hadn't really been playing well yet at that point. And now, lately they've really cut into that hole a lot. They've really picked up some ground in the race. So obviously it sucked and it's an annoying loss, but I also think about the 3 games that they beat Seattle. They could have lost any of those games. Those were all losable games that hung in the balance until, the middle or later innings that maybe you could argue they shouldn't even have won. I mean, the Joey Gallo homer is a wall scraper. The Rougned Odor homer on Saturday, another wall scraper. The Brett Gardner walk-off game, all 3 games could have been losses. So you're not going to win every single game. And I'm the guy who sat here last week saying, I want to see them win 8-9 in a row. And yesterday, what was it? A 5-game winning streak. So you want to see them win that game, especially because it's close the entire game. But what was more on my mind yesterday was this COVID stuff and the injuries.
Yeah.
And that to me is where like my focus and worry, I guess, is on that.
Oh, Josh, on that, do you want to hear the newest breaking news right now about?
Can I guess?
Wow.
Can I guess?
Yeah.
I haven't been on Twitter, but
I'll
I'm gonna guess Ruben Odor tested positive for COVID.
No.
Okay.
It's someone that's still injured right now. So Gio Urshela, who was supposed to return Wednesday, had a setback running. So now he's back in New York, and we don't anticipate him being with us this week. And then you mentioned Gleyber Torres, who was on the IL today. Aaron Boone said 10 to 20 days, which is pretty.
Yeah. So
I'm more pissed about the Gio Urshela thing because we really needed him this week. If you saw the lineup that we'll probably talk about in a bit, but like, damn. Fuck.
Yeah, let's dive right in because the fact is this is the big story. It's what's been the story literally every single New York Yankees season since probably the 2018 New York Yankees season when Aaron Judge first got hurt, which is the Yankees' inability to stay healthy. 19 was, of course, the replacement players. Last year, you had the 60-game season, but that wasn't without their own injuries. And now this year, beginning of the year, they were actually relatively healthy. They just sucked. And now it looks as though, as they are starting to get good again, everybody's hurt. And last week alone, we had Cole go down, which we talked about in the podcast, and Monty go down, which we talked about here. And then from that moment on, you had, obviously, Anthony Rizzo test positive for COVID on Sunday. He's unvaccinated, or at least it seems he was last time when he spoke about it in June. So he'll be out at least 10 days, maybe even more than that. We had Aroldis Chapman, who had the shoulder stuff. He goes on the IL now, so you won't be able to see him. Gleyber Torres hurts his thumb in the game yesterday. You just heard E-Ray talk about it. 10 to 20 days. It looked as though Boone even said after the game yesterday he was a little worried about, the severity of it might be. And so he's going to be on the IL till who knows how long. Odor is out of the lineup today, so that makes you think that maybe there's something going on with that, but that's not reported.
Don't forget Gary.
Like yep, Gary wound up going down with COVID, so Gary hasn't been able to play in the last several games. And at this point, there has been no real steady timetable on any single person other than Gio Urshela, who now has a setback. So it looks as though there's no steady timetable for him. But I haven't heard anything since last week about when Cole's going to be coming back, other than Boone mentioning that maybe he might need a rehab start, depending on how long he's kind of put out there. Haven't heard anything on Monty's timetable, though 12th and 13th, I think, would be 10 days from when they tested positive. Haven't heard anything as far as Gary. He was later on the week when he got COVID. And Rizzo, I wouldn't expect to see him at all for at least probably 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, like, with the injury stuff, the Gleyber injury, sliding into second base, bad luck. The Gio stuff, the setback, the initial injury, these are bad luck things. I mean, like, there's no rhyme or reason to this. And I think that we tend to think that it's a Yankee exclusive issue, but just look at sports in general. Everybody gets hurt all the time. This is just how it is now. And I think the Yankees have done a good job. I guess if you can do anything to control it, the Yankees have done a good job this year, more so than in the past, because it seems like the big players, I'm knocking on the wood, the big players have been available. Stanton had a little bit of an issue early in the season, but he's been very healthy for him. Aaron Judge, aside from his COVID issue, has been healthy. Gary has been healthy aside from his COVID issue currently. So like DJ, the same thing. Gio has been a little bit banged up, but he hasn't missed a ton of games until recently, and he had COVID as well. So, they've done a decent job, it seems, of figuring out whatever they can to minimize the injuries. But what bothers me more than anything else is this COVID issue. And listen, like, we don't have to really, do a whole deep dive into this, because we've been doing it as a country for, a year and a half, and we don't have the answers. Obviously, we're just three guys who watch baseball, but it doesn't make any sense to me how, dating back to right after the All-Star game, when Aaron Judge tested positive, we don't see masks. We don't hear about social distancing in the dugout or in the clubhouse. And clearly, we know the Yankees have passed the vaccination threshold early in the season. I think it was in May even. So we know that most of the team is vaccinated, but to see the 3 different outbreaks that have occurred, clearly, the vaccine obviously doesn't stop you from contracting the virus. And in the case of the Yankees, it's not stopping some of these players from feeling symptoms. What doesn't make sense to me is how they have not taken any proactive measures, seemingly, we don't know of at least, to control whatever is going on in their dugout and in the clubhouse. And if I'm, Brian Cashman or Hal Steinbrenner, the person in charge of this business, I'm saying to myself, we're in this thick of this race right now. We had dug ourselves a huge hole for throughout the first half of the season. Now we're losing all of our best players to COVID. We have to rearrange and rethink our protocols. Now I know the league is sort of probably has to, maybe make that call, and same with the Players Association. They have to agree to these things, but I just don't understand how, as a team, they haven't taken it upon themselves to mask up, take any sort of common sense measure to, reduce the risk, because clearly there is something going on within the clubhouse. And as we know, these guys spend a ton of time together in close quarters on planes, like they were just on a plane yesterday. So that is what's frustrating to me. We can't control the injuries, but this is something that we have a little bit more control over. And it seems like they are just leaving it up to chance. And they're going to keep getting burned, I think. And who knows, like we sat here a week ago saying, or a little less, 6 days ago, saying that it was Cole and then it was Montgomery, but there was more to come. And since then, it's been Gary and it's been Rizzo. And who knows?
There has to be more.
The fact is, Josh, that you said it yourself. We've been living through this for a year and a half. So we might not be experts, but we watch the news. We understand that the fact is the way that COVID is transmissible is through close contact. It's the reason why they talk so much about wearing masks and social distancing. And it's why we've become so familiar with these terms. And we've read about what the sort of protocol has become with vaccinated players and with players having, operating in the clubhouse. And it looks as though, just based off of the knowledge, that because they are vaccinated, if these players feel symptoms, they will get tested. If not, then they won't have to worry about it. And in the case of Anthony Rizzo, they said that they didn't test him until after the game. That meant that he had played the entire game with COVID symptoms, and then after the game reported that he was not feeling well, and that was when they tested him and he tested positive. And before that, Gary might have been wearing a mask in the game, but after he hit that big double that wound up scoring a big runs, the day before he tested positive for COVID, he was walking through the dugout, high-fiving all these different players, not wearing a mask. So to think that they are going to just get away with it, so to speak, and that's a wrong phrase to use, but just get by without worrying that players are going to test positive is complete lunacy, because it's not going to happen. Because as long as players aren't wearing masks, as long as there's no social distancing in the dugout, which there isn't going to be, because they're all with each other all the time, they're on planes, they're hanging out in the clubhouse, they're doing things that we don't see on TV, then people are going to continue to test positive, because that's what you hear about nowadays, especially with the Delta variant. It's the fact that you can catch it. If you think you're not going to be able to catch it, you're wrong. If you're unvaccinated, you're 100% going to get it. And if you are vaccinated, then odds are you might still get it anyway. It just might not be as life-risking as it would be otherwise.
Unfortunately, the only thing that, if they're not going to take precautions or anything, it might have to come to MLB to do something, right? The Yankees, we're closely following the Yankees because they're our team and we see it every day. But it's not just the Yankees. I think the Brewers had like 12 players on the COVID IL. We had the Nationals 2 weeks ago. The Rays have some issues. Now it's, it makes sense as the country continues to have this issue, especially in some hot spots. We're seeing these teams or whatever, these players getting sick. So you do start to wonder, all right, when is it going to be a certain point where we might have to go back to mass, or we might have to take certain precautions or something, because again, people's health, of course, is the most important part. And then you have the baseball aspect where we're right in the stretch of these, right in the thick of this playoff race, and a lot of good teams are going to lose their players. So it's just, it just continues to suck, but you really got to start to wonder, will baseball do something, or And it's just not baseball. I mean, you see it also in other sports, right? So, I mean, the Olympics just went on, so it's a whole ordeal, man. It really is. So,
I want the accountability aspect. That's what I want more than anything, because a few days ago, Aaron Boone was asked, something about, COVID and stuff like that. And he said, oh, we were in Florida. And to me, I don't know, that answer almost doesn't do justice to what's really going on. The fact is, you could have been in Florida. Yeah, sure, that's fine. Florida's a hotbed right now. We all know why. But that doesn't mean you can't tell your players that they should wear masks, or that you can't find a way to hold your team accountable. Because at the end of the day, what is your job? Your job is to win games for the New York Yankees. And the Yankees have a hard time winning games if all their best players get sick from COVID. The same thing goes for George Stein, or for Hal Steinbrenner. The same thing goes for Brian Cashman. They should want these players to be safe. They should want these players to not have to get sick. And if that means taking the precautions and taking the scientific measures that we've seen for the last year and a half seem to work, then why would you want to do that? And to me, it's funny because last year, without fans in the ballpark, the precautions were through the roof to be able to make sure that these players didn't get sick. And the Yankees, I can't think off the top of my head, but I don't remember them having a large scale issue at all last year with anybody getting it. Did anybody get it?
They had a couple guys before the season started. Chapman and LeMahieu had it before the summer camp started, so they couldn't start their summer training on time. But I don't believe that they had anybody in season, whether that was player, coach, staff, whatever, that had it. So that means whatever they were doing last year was working.
Yeah, and last year it was literally you're tested every single day, and you come to the ballpark and you do the 6 feet stuff. It's like, look, the fact is, you understand right now that things are becoming more lax, but you would think that at least for the players, people who are going up here every single day, going home to their families, they would want to have a more thorough check system in place, be able to keep these guys safe, especially as more people go to the ballpark now. More people are going to be in their close proximity. Eventually, they're going to be traveling on the road to these different cities. It's like, to go and think that the way that they're doing things that is not working is all of a sudden just going to work as we find more and more out about this Delta variant and more about what's going on in the state of the cities and towns that these people are traveling to. It just, to me, it makes absolutely zero sense that they wouldn't think they need to fix something, especially now that they're on the 3rd outbreak for this team.
Yeah, I mean, listen, like, I don't know if when they all went to get their shots, if there was something wrong with those shots, because clearly the chances of getting the vaccine and then contracting COVID and then feeling symptoms across the population seems to be low. But it seems like the Yankees, all their breakthrough cases we know about because the guys have felt sick. So we know that Cole and Montgomery and Gary and Gio were all vaccinated and they felt sick. So, they did that necessary step earlier in the season. But at this point, it's just that I know, obviously, like, I don't know if the team is allowed to impose rules without the agreement coming between the league and the Players Association. But as a team, it just feels like to me that the players themselves should take it upon themselves to do something to control the spread. Now, with that said, I doubt that we'll see any of that stuff happen starting tonight, but let's just hope that, the outbreak is over, and then we can just look forward to these guys coming back, getting health, being healthy, staying healthy, and contributing to winning.
Yeah, that's the most frustrating thing, because at the end of the day, it's like they won 5 straight games. They had an opportunity to go on a really long, very good win streak. And you just wonder, if Anthony Rizzo was available to play in the game yesterday, would he have gotten the big hit that would have given them their 6th straight win? Or if Garrett Cole was, able to pitch in this upcoming series against the White Sox or something like that, will that be the big factor that will be able to do it? Or, that's the stuff that right now is so supremely disappointing. And it's the stuff that at the end of the year, regardless of what happens with this New York Yankees season, we're going to sit back and look at and we like to joke that like, Cashman and people like that are like, oh, we were just about to make our big run and then everybody got sick. But it's like, now it's for real. Now they have an opportunity to make a big run because they made the moves to put their chips all in and try and win some big games. And it sucks that now for a series against Boston and a series against Chicago and a big stretch run, they're going to be without Anthony Rizzo, a guy that they made a big trade for. They're going to be without Gary, their big offensive hitting catcher. They're going to, at least for the next start or two, going to be without the guy who they pay $350 million for to win games for them. And you know what? It's preventable if the people who can take precautions to prevent it do what they need to do. And right now it just doesn't look like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So at least as far as tonight's concerned, and as we mentioned before at the beginning of the broadcast, it's Monday, August 9th. The Yankees are in Kansas City, and let's get into what is their incredibly interesting lineup for today, because that was really one way to put it. Last week, Josh E-Ray, we discussed whether or not the New York Yankees should consider moving DJ LeMahieu out of the leadoff spot, and he actually wound up having a pretty productive series against Seattle after we kind of had that conversation.
He heard us.
Against Baltimore, he did hear us. But tonight, Monday, they are going to have a new leadoff hitter, a ragtag lineup to say the least. Brett Gardner leading off, then Stanton in the 2-hole, which we saw him go on his big tear in earlier in the year. Judge 3, Gallo is batting 4, DJ now in the 5-hole, Voit 6. Andrew Velasquez, a kid who is from the Bronx, who they brought up in replace of Gleyber Torres, actually led the minors in steals, I'm pretty sure. So another thing to add.
There we go. I guess if we're going to bring some people up, let's bring up some speed and some, I think switch hitter as well. So
speed guys, he's going to be playing short, Wade playing third, and then Higgy is going to be batting 9th and catching. So an interesting lineup to say the least. We'll have to see whether or not it does anything for them against a Kansas City team that's not really super good.
Yeah, I mean, when I see a lineup like this, obviously their hand is sort of forced in a lot of these positions. I think the DJ move to the middle of the lineup is just because that they need a competent hitter in the middle of the lineup tonight, and rather than, put Gardner in the 6-hole or Velasquez or, whatever. It makes more sense to move DJ down. I don't think this is a permanent thing, especially because he played well last week. So I just think that's a move made out of necessity. But like when I see lineups that look like this, it makes me think back to the Detroit series and, where games where they're like, well, we're playing a weaker team. And so, we're going to get a Roogie day here. And then, we'll put Velasquez and Wade in there. And it's, it makes me nervous. And, it seems like the Yankees have sort of moved past the prioritizing rest over wins and, playing, very cautious baseball in terms of not sending runners and all that stuff. I'd like to think that they put all that stuff behind them, but then I see a lineup like this today and it gives me PTSD. So this could just be from the simple fact that they need to do it. And they have a lot of games. They've played a lot and they have a lot more games coming up before they have a day off. I mean, they play a doubleheader next week against the Sox. They have a game against the Angels on Monday to make up the one of the rainouts from earlier in the season. They travel to Iowa, then they get a day off, and then they travel to Chicago. So it's a lot going on. So I understand that Odor probably needs a day, but when I see stuff like that, I go, oh God, are they going to treat this Kansas City series like it's the Detroit series? And are we going to look back on this in a couple days from now and really say, what the hell was that?
Well, Odor did get hit yesterday, and he was
That's true.
He was in some pain. So now I'm thinking like, is it day to day or something like that? So maybe he does need a day off. But yeah, this lineup feels like it was just like taken out of a hat, to be honest. But again, that's just what they have to deal with. So we'll see if they can get it done because they got to beat the Royals. They have to do it. They have to, even though all these, situations or players that are with COVID or injury, they still got to win games. No excuses, man.
Yeah.
The guy
lineups out there, they got to get the job done.
The guy that they should really be thanking their lucky stars that they were able to acquire at the deadline is Joey Gallo, because the fact is right now he was important to them when we had talked about their ability to make a trade. But now, especially with Rizzo, your other big acquisition going down, your lineup losing a lot of its potency, he's going to be the guy that's going to help Judge and Stanton continue to break out and continue to do what they're doing by providing some protection and providing some much needed lefty pop. And, we saw it this weekend with the homer at Yankee Stadium that really was just a porch job. The fact is, it was criminal that the New York Yankees downplayed how important lefty bats are to their lineup for so long, and we bitched and moaned about them needing to get lefties, and now it proves that they are going to be able to utilize lefty power if they have it in there, and Joey Gallo is that guy. As much as Odor has been really solid, Odor is not like the lefty power menace that we all expected, but Joey Gallo will be. So we hope, outside of Judge and Stanton, if there's anybody that you don't want to see get COVID over this next couple of days, it's Joey Gallo, because right now he's the guy that's breaking up that lineup.
He sure is. And earlier in the season, before they made these trades and we had Voit injured and Hicks injured and Clinton underperforming, we were looking around like we got a couple guys in this lineup that we're counting on to win us games. And, it was the Judges, the Stantons, the LeMahieus, the Urshela's. Right now, we're down a lot of guys, and having anyone who's a capable major league hitter, let alone a guy like Gallo, who is, damn near elite, it's going to help. So, yeah, thank God they made those trades. And who the hell even knows where they would be right now if they hadn't.
Not where they're not 6.5 back or something.
Exactly. So it's, let's just hope that they can take advantage of this soft spot in the schedule here the next couple of days before they go and play a really good White Sox team. We'll have to see how, all this stuff shakes out over the next few days in terms of getting guys back and whatnot. But, these 3 games are extremely important. And like you said, like no excuses at this point. They still, without all the players they have on the IL, they're still a better team than the Royals are. So yeah, I don't want to hear any excuses. They have Tyone going tonight, who's might as well be the ace. They got Nestor going tomorrow, I think, who might as well be the number 2.
Our other ace.
So that should be enough to win them games. That's all I got to say.
I'll say this also. I'm not looking forward to facing that Chicago White Sox bullpen. But we'll worry about. Let's focus on the Royals first. Another thing, man. Thank God they didn't trade Luke Voit, because everyone was always like, "Oh, where's Luke Voit going to play?" But do they realize it's the Yankees? And
Josh said it last week. He said it always figures. It always
does.
Out.
I said, have we learned nothing? If not that these questions don't matter, because we never have to find the answer.
Yeah,
literally. There's always going to be an opportunity for these guys to play, especially because of the situations and scenarios that are happening to the Yankees. So, Luke Voit slides right in. He did lead the AL last year in home runs.
Yeah.
But his season has been freaking all over the place. So hopefully he can get it going, because he needs to. But yeah, man, we really need I feel like Stanton, Judge, Gallo, whichever one. I feel like these next 2 weeks, especially as more Yankees keep going down, one of them has to get I know they've been kind of Stanton's been hot, but we need I think we need one of them to carry us hot.
Yeah,
I agree.
I'm talking about
Judge,
dingers. Yeah.
Tear.
Judge needs to. Judge, since he's come back from COVID, it doesn't seem like he's really gotten on a roll.
Yeah.
And so I would like to see him right now, over the next week, 10 days, whatever it is, be the one to step up and carry the team, because he's capable of it. And if he does that, they will win, because he's that good.
Yep, I agree. Absolutely. I will say, though, I want to make a personal call out to Luke Voit, because the fact is nobody likes to run his mouth more than Luke Voit. We know what happened last year in the playoffs with the guarantee that they were going to win Game 5. And then yesterday, I think I saw him discussing a little bit how it was a little odd that obviously the Yankees wound up going out there and making a trade for Anthony Rizzo, who plays first base and, has gotten a lot of praise. So, you know what? For Voit, the first base job is your job for the next 2 weeks. Prove that you belong on the team. That trading for the first baseman, who is your replacement, was a mistake, by going out there and crushing the ball and hitting home runs and doing what we saw him do earlier this year when he was healthy, and that big walk-off win that they had, and last year when he led the majors in home runs. Because the fact is, we like Luke Voigt when he produces, and we think he's a pretty good first baseman. And his value was super high this last year to the point where the Yankees probably could have traded him in the offseason if they really wanted to. So I would like to see him driving some runs and be, the bat that we kind of know him to be, because the fact is, if he can do that, then it won't matter that Anthony Rizzo's out for 2 weeks, because we'll have an elite first baseman who knows how to hit.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, if he does play well, he will be the DH when Rizzo comes back, and we'll have Stanton in the outfield probably more often than not. So yeah, this is a big, opportunity for him to really do something that he hasn't done all season, which is produce on a day in, day out basis, because it's not his fault that he keeps getting hurt. But when he comes back from these injuries, he seems to just be incredibly rusty, which you can understand that comes with the territory, but it's just frustrating to see it. And then obviously it's frustrating when you replace him with somebody who's great, and then that guy goes down. So,
and is also a lefty.
Yeah.
And a lefty. Yeah. It's
and a great fielder.
Yeah. Nothing against you, Luke Boyd, but we need a lefty in here. Listen, if you're wearing a Yankee uniform, we're going to root for you. Unless your name is Tyler Wade, that we need to anyway, but because he's going to play a lot more now. But yeah,
it's true, which obviously brings you to the sad point in the conversation, which is 2 trades the Yankees wound up making that have, at least so far, maybe one didn't shoot him in the foot, but Clay Holmes, Hoyt Park, obviously it could use Park now with the middle infield kind of being a disaster. But really the worst trade is the Tyro Estrada for cash considerations deal.
Yeah.
That the Yankees made to fit Odor on the roster earlier this year, because Wade has been what we all expected, which is mediocre, if not worse.
Worse.
And a lot worse. And Tyro Estrada has literally been all-star level performance right now. He's batting over 300. He has an on-base percentage close to 400. He has almost a 1 WAR. So he's been super good, and the Yankees really could use that. Our little Tyro.
That was a predictable one. You could have. I mean, I feel like we said it at the time that was a mistake. You could see that coming. And the Hoyt Park, I mean, at least Clay Holmes has looked really good. He's looked really good.
Yeah,
and it looks like it could be a steal of a deal for the Yanks.
Yeah, but his stuff looks good too.
But they could use Park for sure.
Yeah, the Tyro Estrada one hurts so much more because cash considerations.
Yeah,
he will never be good. Cash considerations has never been good and helped to win a team win a title. It just doesn't happen.
Well, they do need cash, with this luxury. No,
you're probably right. As far as later on the week is concerned, the Yankees play a very special game, MLB Field of Dreams in Iowa. So let's talk a little about it because it's unique. It's interesting. It's fun. I believe they announced this 2 years ago, and it was supposed to be last year. Yep. And then obviously COVID happened. And then they were going to have it be the White Sox versus the Cardinals, I'm pretty sure. And then COVID completely scrapped to the point that they didn't have it. So they brought back what it originally was supposed to be, which is, of course, Yankees versus White Sox in Iowa at the Field of Dreams. Should be very awesome. The uniforms came out. The New York Yankees have some crisp, cool New York road uniforms. And I don't know. I'm excited for it. I like these exhibition games that are kind of fun and kooky. So Thursday they'll play that game and then head to US Cellular. I'm not sure if that's still what it's called in the south side of Chicago, but I'm hyped for this game, Field of Dreams game.
It should be fun. I mean, the jerseys for both teams are great. I love the throwbacks for the Yankees, the throwback away jersey, the old NY logo that they put on the hats, and I really like the White Sox ones too. I mean, it's a pinstripe jersey.
You already bought your Cole jersey, by the way.
I did, and the hat too. I got a hat.
Look at you.
I know. I'm a mark. The White Sox one's cool too because it's a pinstripe jersey with with a white jersey with navy blue pinstripes. The old White Sox logo. So yeah, I mean that from an aesthetic standpoint should be cool, and I think the field will look great as well. So you'll see the corn stalks in the outfield. I'm curious to see. I haven't really seen any pictures. I know there's some stuff available, but I'm curious to see
like a night game or a day.
It is. It's a night game. It's a night game. I'm curious to see what it looks like in terms of that under the lights, the stands, how many people are there, what does the outfield look like, how big is the field going to be? Hopefully we get a couple homers into the corn. I don't know if MLB is planning
pitching?
on.
Is Andy
I don't think they made an announcement yet.
Because we're gonna see home runs if he's pitching.
Yeah,
I'll say
yeah.
that.
I don't know if MLB is going to do any like gimmicks or anything in terms of like paying homage to the movie or bringing out some who the hell knows, but
It
should
is
be
on
fun.
Fox, so the fact that it's on a national TV broadcast for a night game, and I'm pretty sure Joe Buck's going to be calling it, means they'll probably feel like maybe do something a little bit special.
Yeah.
for it.
I'm usually not into the London thing. I wasn't into the game at
big
the Little.
gimmick. Worst
That was a
ballpark of all
that was a
time, too.
disaster.
The
That
game
was
at the
almost a-
Little
We
League.
won both games though, but that was a
Yep.
I was at a wedding and I remember like the Red Sox were up like 9. The Yankees were up like 19-8, and just like the Red Sox kept coming back, and I thought I was gonna.
Yep. Or how about when they went up 5-0 when Hicks hit
And
that
Tanaka
big homer?
came-
And
yeah.
then we have a friend of ours who's a Red Sox fan. He's the worst, and we completely shit talked him, and it came back to bite us in the bottom.
Yeah.
half.
But they ended
But
up winning
continue.
anyway.
They
and
did, yeah.
they had a couple games at the Little League World Series, which were whatever. But this one I think is cool, and I think
I agree.
I think it's gonna look cool. I think it should be a fun atmosphere. And I like the idea of kind of like breaking it up a little bit,
Yeah.
Like there's nothing wrong with the White Sox ballpark, but it'll be fun to see something really different.
I honestly would have been okay if they did a full series there. I think the one
Same.
game is cool, but
Yeah.
when I actually looked at it and I said to myself, "Oh, it's only one game," I was a little confused. I figured, why not do like full series there? But hey, if they win that one game and we get to see some cool stuff, at least on the side, that would be fun. Are both of you guys Field of Dreams fans?
Of course, yeah, great movie.
Yeah. I haven't seen it in a while, but I love that movie. Yeah.
Favorite baseball movie?
Hyped for the cornfields.
Or-
I don't know why. I am hyped for the cornfields. Just to see.
Yeah, I think it's my favorite baseball movie. I would say so.
E-Rays is definitely Fever Pitch.
Oh, right. I actually did enjoy that movie. It is kind of funny, but then the
It's
end.
by the way, a blatant ripoff of a movie about, I'm pretty sure, Manchester United, or that's what the book is about, and then they
Is it?
adapted it to be the Red Sox. It originally is about English Premier League soccer. It's not originally about the Red Sox.
They had to change the ending, but we won't talk about that ending in Fever Pitch. I think my favorite. No, I think it might be Phil Jeans, but also 61, baby, because I'm a Yankee mark.
Oh, true,
Yeah.
true.
61 was great.
61, Sandlot. I feel like not about.
Also, yeah, there's a lot of good baseball movies, man.
Yeah, but it's Americana, man. Apple
Yeah.
pie, Ford trucks, and baseball, right?
That's
You
right.
guys want to go this Thursday? Average price right now is $1,413.
I'm good.
Okay.
No, yeah,
I'm
I
good, I
agree.
think.
Plus, you got to pay
I'll-
for the
I'll
plane
drive.
tickets. Oh,
Yeah,
you're driving. All right,
I don't know if I want to be in the
How
car
far is
with
Iowa
you.
from here?
Far.
I don't
I don't know if I
even-
want to be in the
Far.
car with you for that long.
Chicago
Whoa.
is like, yeah,
You're right.
Chicago's like 13 hours, so Iowa's further than Chicago. So I would assume it's probably at least like a 17-hour drive, more or
Okay,
less.
bro.
Yeah.
So that would be tough. But hey, the fact is, if they win that game, then they have an opportunity to do something hopefully pretty good in the series against Chicago. And they swept them here at the stadium, so they're going to be looking for a little revenge, right?
Yeah, they sure will. And they're a very good team. So that's going to be a tough series for the Yankees, especially them being shorthanded. But I'm looking forward to the Thursday game at least. At least we'll get to see something cool. And hopefully, maybe if we're lucky, Garrett Cole and Montgomery will come back and they'll pitch in the
We
series,
need
but
them.
not counting on it.
We need them back. It's 15 and a half hours away.
I was just looking that up, actually.
Really?
Oh. See?
Who put Iowa over there? Has it always been there?
Here we go.
Boo. That was a lame
That
joke.
was-
Huge lame joke. All right.
Should we talk about Sevi?
Yes, that's
Oh,
what I was
Sevy.
going to say. I was going to get us into a little bit of house cleaning, and obviously the big thing is what Josh just brought up. Luis Severino, 4 innings, no hit innings in the Somerset game yesterday.
Perfect innings, actually.
Perfect. Yep, perfect inning combined. No hitter. Another one that I'm pretty sure every Yankee minor league affiliate might have had one this year.
I think
They had
every
a
level.
lot of them.
Not every affiliate, but every level, I think.
Yep. So Sevy, they said what? It was August 20th to September 1st was the initial timetable that
Yeah.
Cashman gave. But it honestly looks like if he pitches good his next start, he could be here in like another rotation around or so. I mean,
Yeah.
he looks good.
I mean,
I think he's gonna have
good
one
there.
more, right? Yeah.
Cash-
Yeah.
Boone said that he's going to start on Friday for either Somerset or Scranton again. And then I would assume, depending on how that goes, I would assume that he'll be back for the Yankees the next time through. So that would be within the range that
Yeah.
Cashman set out last week. So
When's the last time we saw him? I legit feel that we didn't see him at all last year, right?
He didn't
The
pitch
last
last
time
year.
that they saw him, I think
Postseason
In the
of
postseason?
2019.
playoffs in 2019.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was probably
been
the
almost
game
2
against
years.
Houston he pitched.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would love. I mean, Severino, man, he was a big piece of this rotation. Hopefully, he comes back. We need him. Of course,
Also, people forget
Thursday.
that
for some reason.
he was hurt in 2019 too. So like he's
Yep.
barely pitched.
Oh yeah, you're right. He
He
really,
came back. Him and Dylan Betances were like hurt most of that year, and then he wound up being okay, and Dylan wound up blowing out his Achilles. I do remember that.
he signed that
I will
extension,
say-
and then Severino
Yeah.
hasn't pitched since.
He
What I
pitched
will
one
say-
game or 3 games in 2019, not counting the postseason. So he's barely pitched.
What I will say is, despite all the COVID issues that the Yankees have had, their starting rotation has actually kind of been really good the last go around or so. Obviously, Heaney is sort of the black sheep in that, but even as we said earlier, he threw 109 pitches and was able to keep the Yankees in the game on Saturday. Luis Gil has been awesome to the point where you want him to keep getting starts because of how good he has been. And then we obviously already know that Jamison Tyone has been their ace the last month, and Nestor Cortez has been awesome as well. I think, honestly, once the end of August rolls around, not to keep going with this old adage, but the Yankees are going to have a lot of questions when it comes to what they want to do. Yeah, that's true. You're right. But I have to pretend that they will have a lot of questions when it comes to what they're going to do with the
Put it this
rotation.
way. If Severino comes back, which looks like is on track to happen, that's a big boost. But then, you add in the potential of Corey Kluber coming back, obviously the return of Cole and Montgomery, the return of Domingo Herman, the emergence of Luis Gil. They're going to have options. I don't know about questions, but they're going to have options. And they're all pretty good options.
What I will say is I want Luis Gil to get his shot in the rotation, because if they don't, then mark my words, they'll screw him up just like they screwed up Debbie Garcia.
Wouldn't shock
Do
me.
you think if they say? I mean, I agree with you. He should keep pitching as long as he's pitching this well.
And he probably will make his next start.
No, he'll definitely
seem to be fluctuating him with the COVID stuff, and that's why he keeps getting sent.
I think
down.
it'll work itself out, as you guys said. We'll see what will happen. Also shout out to our boy Steven Ridings, baby.
Oh yeah, I got to talk about that guy.
Big Ridings guy.
Because he's from Long Island, like me. He's from the town that my parents live in, and he has the same birthday as me.
From?
Wow.
He's from Huntington.
Oh.
And he has the same birthday as me. I'm a few years older, but this is my guy. So I want to see this guy.
Jersey?
No, let's not get crazy. But I want to see it. You know what? What's interesting is that this guy is sitting in AAA all year, right? And he's had a journey to get to the Yankees, but he's been sitting in AAA all year, along with Luis Gil. And we had to sit through Nick Nelson and Brooks Kriske. And I'm just wondering to myself, like, this guy's sitting in AAA, throwing 100 with no effort and strutting around after he strikes a guy out. But we have to sit through Brooks Kriske in the 10th inning of a game in Fenway Park.
It makes you wonder. It really
I forgot about that game.
It really makes you wonder just whether or not Brian Cashman and the scouting department have no idea who are in the minor leagues.
But
their farm system's been electric.
I know. That's what's
every
so
team's in
insane
first
about
place. I'm looking at the records. Scranton 49-30, Somerset 51-32, Hudson Valley 53-21, Tampa 56-26. Their overall record organizational wise is 209 and 109. Second in baseball. That's insane.
Yeah.
And they still found a way to screw up Debbie Garcia.
Yeah, they did. And the fact is, I think it kind of just boils down to what we talked about with the lefty bats, which is until they are proven in public that they are idiots, they don't think that they are idiots. If this guy had never come up, then we just wouldn't have known about it, and they would have gone through the Nick Nelsons and the Brooks Kriskes until cows came home, just like with the lefty bats thing. Now that they have proven that you need lefty bats at Yankee Stadium, because I don't know, Joey Gallo and Anthony Rizzo and Rougned Odor are hitting well because they're lefties. They're like, oh yeah, I guess lefty bats are okay. Now that we're seeing Steven Ridings throw 101 with ease and strike out guys up here, they're like, oh, I guess we have something here.
Yeah, I
never know.
Well, think about it though, like Gil and Ridings, they never get an opportunity if it's not for this COVID outbreak. And so, like, maybe we would have seen Heel in September because he's a top 10 organizational prospect. He's on the 40 man.
But he'd also stunk
he's
in the
been
in
around.
Double A.
Yeah, he hadn't pitched well in the minors. That's correct. But we might have seen him in September just because he's someone with a pedigree within the organization. But like we never would have saw Ridings if not for the COVID outbreak. So it's just interesting how you have these guys that are just sitting there, and we're sometimes watching guys who we don't really know if they belong pitch important innings, and we have these guys sitting there in Scranton. It's just interesting to see how it all works itself out, and hopefully both of these guys continue to get opportunities to pitch at the major league level, because so far they look like they belong. They look like they own it. They belong and they've earned it. And let's ride them. No pun intended, but let's ride them until they show that they aren't good.
Speaking of not good, Nick Nelson's back up for the 10th time this week, so can't wait to see that guy. Also, real quick, who do you guys think? I said the Yankees were second organizational wise minor leagues. Who do you think is first? Record.
Oh, that's a great question.
Padres.
Nope.
Tampa.
Yep. It's always fucking Tampa. Oh man.
See, there you go. All right, pop of the week, boys.
Top of the week has to be Heel. Luis Heel, man. He's continued to do a good job. And it was close with him and Ridings, but I'll give it a Heel this time.
John?
If I get to give one, I'm giving it to Steven Ridings.
At this point, it's not E-Ray's thing anymore because he missed too many shows with us.
Steven
Pop of
Ridings.
the week too.
Steven Ridings.
See, we have dueling pop of the weeks.
He's given up
E-Ray's
one
pissed,
hit,
but,
one
no.
hit in 3 games. He strikes
All right.
out everyone. That's my guy.
Luis Hill, first pitch in the modern era.
Hey, listen, I'm not saying you.
10 base runners and 0 runs allowed in his first 2 career MLB games.
Why are we fighting over this?
I'm not fighting.
You're just pissed that he doesn't have available.
Not you.
It's true, absolutely. So Yankees play tonight, and they play the rest of the series against Kansas City on Tuesday and Wednesday before having the Field of Dreams game on Thursday, Thursday, day off Friday, and then Saturday and Sunday they wrap up the series with the White Sox. That's going to do it for us here inside our little Yankees podcast. As always, you can listen to our podcast wherever you get your podcasts. That includes Apple Podcasts, Spotify Pods. We're on TuneIn, we're on SoundCloud, but wherever you listen, make sure you hit subscribe, give us a 5-star rating, leave your comments as well. We'd love to hear from you and hear what you think about the pod. We also do all the episodes live on YouTube each and every Monday when we record, and then we post it up right after we finish. For Josh Levin, E-Ray Sepulveda, I'm Julian Coltree. Go Yanks.